Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you with Blink number 3. And even though this story has been relatively simple, it has been entertaining, for me at least. I kind of like that they took Blink out of the main Age of Apocalypse continuity and kind of gave her her own story. And she really shines because Clarice was really one of those fan favorites from this story arc. So, if you know who this character is, this kind of spoils it, but we're not going to really go into it. So, going to jump in, and we can see now that some time has passed since the last issue. And you can see that she's fighting for this resistance, which, spoiler alert from the last issue, the people that her and Amor were saving, they take up arms against Ballastar's people. And they're talking about here, Liddell's talking about how Blink came from a war-ravaged world. And I like how it says, so to paraphrase an old expression, you can take the girl out of the war, but you can't take the war out of the girl. And I like this panel. It kind of reminds me of like some sort of sci-fi Indiana Jones, not so much Star Wars, but like something you'd probably see in a heavy metal. Just really cool concept there. Very dynamic. Got these guys coming at her, and I forget what these are called. I know I talked about it last issue, but you know, blonde moment. But anyway, let's talk about who made this fun comic book. This is Scott Liddell doing the plot, Judd Winnick doing the script, Trevor McCarthy's doing the penciling, Norm Rapman and Tyson Magado. If I butcher these, I'm so sorry. Doing the inks. Those guys at Liquid doing the colors. Richard Starkings and Comicraft doing the letters. Here's everyone else associated with the book at the time. And this issue, the print date on it is May 2001. So this was long after the Age of Apocalypse, and I really like that Liddell here grabbed Winnick and said, "Hey, we're gonna revisit this and make this fun." And so these guys are thinking that they have the drop on her, they're getting ready to kill her, and then all of a sudden one of them freaks out, and it's because here on another great splash page, I love when they do this because it's just like, yeah, they see that this is an ambush, and we see him more. And this guy, he is so intense. Fools, look before you and see the spirit of honor. You look upon us and see the future of the zone. And what are we talking about? Blink in the first issue attacked, one of the breeding pens, and not Apocalypse, what's his name? Holocaust was there, and they were fighting Ballastar's people, and Blink happened to jump through the portal at the same time. She ended up in the negative zone, and she has amnesia. So she doesn't remember anything of her past life. And so that's why I was talking about at the beginning of this review, how it said you can take the war out of the girl, but you can't take you can take the girl out of the war, but you can't take the war out of the girl. There it is. So, no matter where it is, she just seems to be a natural warrior. So I like that, this battle ends, and her and Amora stand there, which I kind of wish we could have seen some more of the action. But, it's a mini-series, so they have to get a lot of information in as quick as they can. And again, Amora's like, congratulations, Clarice. And I always want to do it, Hannibal Lecter, Clarice. Anyway, we're not going to go Hannibal here. He's like, you have earned their blood. And just the intensity of this guy, I love it. I don't know, he just kind of grew on me, and I like characters like that where they just kind of have that ignorance about other people, and they just really focus on the cause, man. And then she's like, congratulations? You're right, it's too soon to celebrate. We have merely taken out their forward guards, and a pathetic troop they were. But we can see that over the time, you are a Marvel, my love. Yeah, that's me, Ms. Marvel. Stop it, you're no Carol Danvers. Which I guess would be her in this universe would be better for her to be Ms. Marvel, because as we get further into the AOA, you'll see what happens with old Carol there. So you can see that these two have created a relationship, which is cool. They say they kind of saved each other in a sense from the first issue where they were kicking the crap out of each other. And so they storm the gates, and I love how Blink just beats the crap out of them, and we get this dynamic pose. I like how, one leg juts into the foreground, got one in the background, her face is silhouetted, and she's taking out these honor guards, and it's just a very dynamic, engaging page. And so lots of fighting ensues. So lots of action in this issue, which I am very thankful for, because, we get some soft moments like we saw with the war. And then, of course, for all of us that love action in comics, wham, bam, wham, bam. And I love how McCarthy here, that's the artist, yeah, Trevor McCarthy. I like how he's been using these, I don't know the technical term, but it shows how he kind of starts into the fight and how she just progresses forward. I just love that. Now, things actually start to hit you pretty hard because Clarice finds this skeleton key, and so she goes into the dungeons. And so I'm going to read this part because this hit me pretty hard. It said, despite all her strength as a warrior, Clarice still bears an acute fear of the dark. It comes from her captivity as a child, and life often provides its ironies. The smell hits her first, so she has a look of surprise, and then she kind of breaks down. The rancid food and excrement, but it's the sight of them that truly sends her reeling. They are the children of the royal family of Annihilus' royalists. They have been beaten, deprived of decent sustenance, and ritually abused by their captors. It strikes a chord for Clarice so resoundingly that it cuts her in half. Because you remember Victor Creed saved her. So we actually sort of go back into the Age of Apocalypse. Now, this is a very emotional scene, and it's really well done. However, I did find a continuity error. So she says here, in a life filled with terrors, her worst memory surfaces. The pens, concentration camps where humans and distance were imprisoned. And so we see these two little girls here. And it says, in the brief moments of escape when she and Ileana would cuddle together for warmth while sleeping. But the release was always short-lived. He would come. They'd hear him scrape along the doors and whisper his greetings. And so we get another terrifying image of the Sugar Man here, which is kind of interesting to see him again in a book, but it's kind of gives you the creeps, what they kind of imply here. It says Sugar Man. He'd come for them again. And although Blink loved Ileana deeply, she always prayed that he'd take her first. But he never did. So, yeah, kind of gives you that very creep vibe. But I like this emotionalness that what Blink is seeing strikes this chord. Even though she can't remember who she is, it strikes this really strong chord that she can't ignore. So well done on that point to kind of really show what one of her deepest fears is. Now, in terms of the continuity error that I was talking about, so it's showing that Blink and Ileana were both kids in the, what was that place called where they were in Portland, where the Sugar Man was? I can't remember if it was called the Reactor or the Core, I think it was called. But anyway, in the main AOA timeline, Blink is an adult with the X-Men. And then when we see over in Generation Next, Ileana is a kid. So it doesn't really make sense for them to both be kids at the same time here. So a continuity error nonetheless, but it's just interesting to show how these parallels between her world and this world, and how, the saying war never changes, how they'd say in Fallout. So interesting read right here, and it is very emotional and hard to read. So anyway, Amor comes and comforts her because she has one of those memory backlashes that causes her pain. And you can see that these two are really starting to grow on each other. He's like, you've not only saved my life and the lives of these people, but you've restored my soul. Okay, you're going to have to shut up now. Must you always joke when I'm going to tell you that I love you? Yes, I must. Every time. So I like how they kind of show how their relationship has flourished as she's been in the negative zone. Now, some things happen, which causes her to be here. Now, this reminds me of the way she's at this pole. It kind of reminds me of the Attack of the Clones. Sort of like, but we see that something has happened to her and Amor. What has happened? We find some things out about Amor, and then we kind of find out more about the main antagonist, but I don't want to get into that. I don't want to spoil this book, but I just kind of wanted to go over some of the beats that really hit me. So for a 4-part miniseries that takes I can't say zero, but takes place, 95% of the time in another universe, this is still a welcomed series, especially for all of us who always enjoyed Blink as a character. So if you guys have enjoyed this comic book, please first and foremost support your local comic shop and see if they can't pick up this miniseries for you. I know it's getting harder to find. If not, then just have to check the secondary market, because I've looked all over creation for this miniseries and thankfully finally found it. And if you guys have enjoyed this review, we'd really appreciate it if you take a minute to hit like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you can possibly know. And if you wouldn't mind hitting that fancy little X bell next to subscribe. That way, as we continue to upload content, you guys can come to the channel, and we love to hear your feedback and have a dialogue with you down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you all have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.